looking for this?
Welcome back to BoomShot. I'm Kale. This is Colby,
sir.
and this is John Samuel, all the way down from North Carolina, a high school friend of ours, and he's also a big Star Wars guy. So we just watched Ahsoka Episode 4, which was titled Fallen Jedi, correct?
Yes.
I have that right. So we're going to go ahead and talk about that starting now. So the question we always start off with usually is what do you think about the episode? So what do you think, Colby?
Perfect. I thought it was perfect. I mean, I have no gripes with it. I'm sure we'll dig into it some more. The ending was incredible. Spoiler warning.
Stick around for the later part of the video. We have like 5 theories about the world between worlds. So
yeah, big spoiler warning. You don't want to get this spoiled for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was.
I just did. Anyway.
Yeah, we'll hopefully have put one in the beginning of the video by now. But
I'll remember that.
Yeah, it was perfect. It was perfect.
What do you think, John?
Sorry.
Boy.
We spent 6 minutes before this trying to not laugh.
Yeah.
I don't know why
Bear
it's
with
late.
us.
It's late.
This was I kind of cheated a little bit. This is my first Ahsoka episode. I didn't see 1, 2, or 3. I still am a big fan though. But for my first Ahsoka episode, it was definitely felt like Star Wars. Like Dave Filoni, I definitely have faith in him. But as good as this episode was, I think the next episode, well, we'll get into the theories and stuff we have, but it's going to be wild.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, no doubt.
I thought I agree with both of y'all. It was perfect. The ending was perfect, chills, and then it did feel a lot like Star Wars. The fights were amazing. The CGI was great.
It brought you back to like the prequels,
Yeah.
and the original trilogy at the same time.
It felt like George Lucas's era of Star Wars.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, can't complain with that. But I think we should jump into our theories about the world between worlds. So hit me with the first theory.
The first theory that immediately came to your mind was that it's a dream.
Yeah.
Which I don't think that's our leading theory anymore. We talked about it. We talked through it some more.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the stream, go try and figure out where the best moments in that are. But, I mean, I think it could be a dream.
It could be. I mean, just to tamper expectations a little bit because these next theories are pretty wild.
Yeah.
It could be a dream. She wakes up. Or it could be, she could go through these next theories and then wake up and it was a dream, but I don't think so.
Yeah,
No.
I just think since she fell in the water, probably got knocked out, like she's slowly drowning, probably. She's like, this is kind of like her Black Panther ancestral plane type moment. You know what I'm saying?
And something else we said too is the room of requirement. Like, the world between worlds pops up when you need it most. So it could be that. And the transition too was sick from like the water into the bridge type thing. That was sick.
Like he said, it kind of felt Thanos-esque from Avengers Infinity War. So that was a really cool. I think that was a really cool like thing. But I think it could be a dream. I think that's like the safest bet is that that was just the last thing she was thinking about. And where's the only place that she could find Anakin again? World between worlds. So what's the next theory?
The next theory I think we talked about was that she'll see the moment Anakin turned in one of the portals.
Yeah.
And yeeted Mace Windu or helped yeet him.
Yeah. So John, what'd you think about that?
So I want to draw it back to what y'all said before, like a dream, kind of like back to Rebels, because she came into the world of worlds because of Ezra, and she came out somewhere else. So I think that could be a possibility in the next episode where she may not wake up where she fell asleep. She could kind of use the world of worlds to get to where she needs to be.
Yeah.
Anyway. But on that point, what you were saying, I feel like, and we talked about this earlier, I feel like the whole next episode could be her through the world of worlds.
Yeah,
because I feel like that's a huge opportunity. This is the first time live action Anakin and Ahsoka have seen each other. That's
Big
a
moment.
lot of stuff there. So I feel like that could take up a whole episode.
Yeah, I feel like they just can't really glance over that, and that's something I didn't really think about till you mentioned it in the stream. Was that it's gonna really probably take a whole episode to handle a moment this big because it's been over a decade, and we haven't seen them two in live action together.
Yeah.
So it's going to be 15 years.
Like you were saying, like we could see the moment where Anakin turned. Like, because if you think Ahsoka never really saw the fall of Anakin at all.
She felt it in the Force,
but she never really knew what happened. And we see that in Rebels, where she's like, I didn't think all those things that they said about you could have actually happened. But now, as Anakin maybe is her guide through the world between worlds, she gets to see how it all happened.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into our next theory is that she'll see that and like she pulled Ezra back, Anakin will pull her back because she'll want to save Anakin. Hey, don't do this. But Anakin himself will pull her as one last lesson.
Yeah. So the one last lesson theory. So basically, Ahsoka's in there, and like you're saying, what's the one last lesson you think she needs to learn?
Well, okay, so really since Rebels, she's been the cool, calm, and collected person. She pulled Ezra back and told him he couldn't save Kanan because it would mess everything up. And with Sabine, as we've seen, so it could be the one last lesson that she has to get past, that she couldn't save Anakin, that it had to be done.
Well, I just had the thought in the episode we just watched when she was training purple-haired
Sabine.
girl, Sabine. When she was training her, she told her something across the lines, like basically do what's right even when you don't feel, when you feel a different way. Well, that could be her kind of taking her own lesson, not her last lesson, but she feels like she would want to save Anakin, but she needs to do what's right.
Yeah, that's true. I
just had that thought.
That's a good point, because it's kind of like the last lesson she has to learn is like, the one person she couldn't save was her master. So, and like you said, it's gonna have to take a whole episode to tackle something.
Yeah, and we can talk about that for a second. It kind of reminds me, if you've seen Moon Knight, they spent all of episode 5 going through Mark's backstory. So I kind of feel like this will be kind of the same thing, where they take, just leaving the whole plot aside for a second, they're just going to take us through a story with Anakin and Ahsoka, kind of like a one last lesson type thing. So what are some moments do you think we could revisit, and see in the World Between Worlds?
I think what he mentioned about Mace Windu, that whole conflict there.
Nuts, man. Could see Captain Rex. Something we mentioned on the stream too is like it could be a Christmas Carol type thing.
Yeah.
Anakin's taking her through these moments and teaching her lessons or something, and stuff that she didn't know she had to deal with still.
Because she never finished her training.
Yeah, so, and we could see Rex in that. Could see Obi-Wan. I mean, there's a ton of possibilities there.
Regardless, I think it's going to pull on the heartstrings, because seeing them together again, if they can pull off the magic that they had in the animation, if they can manage to pull that off in live action, it's going to be insane. Waterworks for me, dude.
Dude, no joke. And I think they will, because Filoni, as we know, did Clone Wars, Rebels, Tales of the Jedi, and this.
If anyone's going to do it, I think he's the guy.
He'll do it justice.
But so they could take a walk back through memory lane. We also think that. Oh, what were you going to say?
Just another theory we were talking about is how Morai was there when we first saw the World Between Worlds, standing above the portal that Ezra had to go to. So maybe we're thinking Anakin could be like the link leading her to eventually to where she needs to be, which is like you were talking about. She'll wake up, she'll wake up somewhere else
in a different galaxy.
Yeah, in a different galaxy wherever Thrawn is in Ezra.
Yeah.
The last theory that we really think about is that, and the Anakin that we see is not good. Because the way, and this one hurts to talk about, but the way that the music ends, it ends with Darth Vader's theme.
Yeah.
And so what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. And that's another thing we thought about during the live stream was Fallen Jedi, the title. Which
I think could be about Anakin.
It could be about, I think it's a red herring. Is that what the right phrase? They want you to think it's Bail's skull, which it is in a way, but it could be just Anakin. Because he played the Darth.
I think it is, because I don't think... Because you got to think Anakin himself is not like the one in control. It's the World of Worlds. So I don't think it's going to have an ill-intended Anakin. I think that could be leading more towards what they're going to see.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like that.
So I don't... At first when I saw it, I was like, ooh, maybe he's got a twist or he's got some ill intent with him. But I think that was just a foreshadow of... We're gonna see that kind of Anakin, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, and if they do a Christmas Carol type thing, like you were talking about, like there's 3 ghosts in the Christmas Carol: the one that takes them through the past, the one that takes them through the present, and the one that takes them to the future. And like each one has its own different twist. And like the past was exploring like all the things that hurt him. The present was like where he's at now, and the future is like where he's gonna end up. And the Phantom ends up pointing at his grave, like he was gonna die at some point. Whatever.
Yeah,
it's been a while since I've read the story, but like it could be something like that where we see like the past, present, and future, and Anakin is the guy.
Yeah, we see a younger Anakin training Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
We see Anakin, towards the prime of his Jedi life, and then we see Vader or something.
Yeah,
that would be crazy.
And there's a lot they can do with this. We've only seen the World Between Worlds in one other show, and that was Star Wars Rebels.
It's a big mystery.
If it is kind of like the room of requirement from Harry Potter, like this is going to be a hinge that the show. It's going to be something that the show hinges on. This is going to be like the Boeing for the next part. The Boeing for the next.
The launch pad.
Yeah, the launch pad for you Fortnite players out there.
And it could be. Yeah, I think that's what it is. And if it is like that, and it appears to who needs it most for the right reasons. I think a part of it could be I can't stop thinking about how Morai was there leading Ezra.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same thing, but with Anakin from Ahsoka.
Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully. I hope that's how it ends. But the music at the very end just throws me off a little bit. But I feel like that's kind of something they want us to think, maybe.
It was sick. Either way, it was sick.
It was sick, for sure.
Was awesome.
Dude, I'm so excited for where they're going to take it.
I guess real quick, we could talk about Sabine.
Yeah.
We've talked about the end a lot. And Merrick.
Mm-hmm.
I guess Merrick ended up being like a Savage type.
Yeah, like nobody really though.
Yeah, we never saw it, which we talked about in the stream was kind of a good thing.
Yeah,
yeah.
There was intrigue behind his character, but at the end of the day, like you said, it was misguided intrigue. Like we want to know who this guy was, but he was nobody. So now that intrigue that we had goes to something else.
Yeah, and it wasn't a letdown. I feel like a lot of times they go for something like that, and it's like
kind of like with Rey. Rey was the big one that I can think of.
Yeah, but they built this up kind of, or like the fans kind of made all these theories, which were cool to think about, and then he was really nobody, but then our intrigue got filled with the ending.
Yeah, I feel like the draw and hype over who that was and how they ended it so nonchalantly just shows there's way bigger things to be. Like, that's nothing compared to what's actually going to happen.
Yeah, because
I think that was a plus.
Because at the end, we see, obviously, what we've been talking about the entire time is the World Between Worlds, but also Sabine kind of sides with Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati.
Yeah,
kind of in a way.
She sides with Ezra.
Yeah, but I mean, they become like the enemy.
She gives.
They become frenemies, basically. Like.
Yeah, she gives them the map just for Ezra.
Mm-hmm.
Ezra. But I don't think she had any ill intent there.
No, not at all.
For Ezra.
Yeah, and we think she's kind of like plotting. Too. She could be plotting. She has a plan.
But I feel like that's also the classic Sabine thing, is that like she is plotting ahead always. But I think that would be interesting to show that she's not like a character weakness for her is not just her impatience, but also her love for her friends blinds her from plotting ahead. So I think that would be kind of a cool like little thing that they could work through.
Yeah, and then when all hope seems to be lost, we get Ahsoka coming through, leaving Anakin coming through the portal, and saving the day.
Which really could be a huge thing, because then it's like Thrawn might want to get in the World Between Worlds to bring back Palpatine. So like that is like this. The World Between Worlds feels like it's going to be pretty centric to me from here on out. I think they spend the entire next episode in the World Between Worlds kind of taking us back through memory lane. Ahsoka's going to learn some lessons that she needs to use to defeat the enemy. But when she hops out, they're going to be like, "What? How'd you show up?" And so now they're going to be like, she's going to have to explain the World Between Worlds, which Ezra already knows about it. But
I was just going to say, back to, again, the names have got me. The guy with the purple lightsaber. The orange lightsaber.
Baylan Skoll?
Yeah. So, if I doubt it, but if he did have intentions with the World of Worlds, back to y'all's thinking it shows up when you need it. Mm-hmm. Does it show up for those who have ill intent? You know what I'm saying? Or does it only show up to the light side? Or because we've only seen, as far as I know, we've only seen it for Ahsoka in this episode, and then Ezra.
Yeah,
but I mean, and Palpatine had access to it through maybe like a Sith ritual type thing.
And he had ill intent.
Yeah, and he had ill intent.
That's a good point.
We need to rewatch that scene. I think probably to get straight on it. But still, I think the Room of Requirement's a good idea, but I don't know. That kind of does.
The Room of Requirement only shows up to Gryffindors, which are a lot of times the protagonist.
Mm-hmm.
But that is a good point you bring up, because how did Palpatine get there? That's still a huge mystery that has been overlooked so far, I think.
Obviously we have no idea what can go on in the world of worlds, or how you can even get access to it. But I do like the kind of spiritual. It reminds me of in the Clone Wars, where there was kind of a spiritual theme to the Force. Like with Anakin, we see it foreshadowing of him being Darth Vader.
Yeah.
I kind of get that feel with this world of worlds kind of
thing. It
thing.
is kind of it's becoming more and more like a religion type thing. Like, which we always heard that like the Force is like a religion. But like we're getting to see it kind of in action, like it has its own domain,
in live
and
action,
like
cool to see.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's true.
But
it was wild to see that in live action, man.
It's wild, yeah. It's crazy to see just Anakin. It's just crazy to just see Ahsoka on live action, but to see Anakin back too.
Yeah,
that's also crazy.
We like hopped out of our seats.
Yeah,
literally.
We were in shock.
Yeah,
it was cool.
I think from here on out we'll get pretty big cliffhangers for every single episode. And I do want to mention before we close that like the shows that build up to one big ending, I think are so much better than like, for example, like The Mandalorian, that's kind of just like working its way, like feeling its way through its season. It's like building up towards something, but it's also got a lot of like filler. But every single episode matters for this show right now. Yeah, and I like that because it gives me a reason to come back week to week.
Yeah. I mean, it's like we were saying, it's a huge cliffhanger it's the biggest cliffhanger I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
I feel like.
And every episode it advances the plot well. So.
It's so unpredictable.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I would say for y'all too.
Yeah.
Like, you see her in water, like talking about that transition, and you don't even know what it is, and then it rolls up, and then you're like, wait a second, I've seen this before.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty wild
to
see.
Well, anyway, that's our thoughts on it. The real question is what did you guys think? Did you like it? What do you think about our theories? Do you have any theories? And thank you guys for watching. See you in the next one.